Thank you very much for this opportunity to be here. It's my first time in Australia, and to be here to explain you our system that basically start from two principles. One is life in motion, and the other one is that self-driving cars are not enough. So we developed this kind of solution. I took this picture 2 days ago, but the real picture was not this one. Let me show you the real one. This was the picture. At 9:30 p.m., I saw 3 or 4 buses moving almost empty along Victoria Bridge. And this is very strange. I mean, it's very common, but it's very strange because you have very under-occupied cars in transit that it's a waste of money and a waste of fuel. You have, in this case, roughly 8% occupancy rate. Just 5 people inside a 60-people bus. So what we are doing, it's our very first scenario, it's just try to split the bus in 6 slices. So in this case, you can just use one of these slices. In one of our pods, you can fit inside the 6 people sitting. So in this case, you have 5 people inside the 6 people pod. Mean that you have 83% occupancy rate. You don't have to carry around a completely empty box of steel. And this is our first idea. Let's gradually explain the project from the beginning. So no freeway is big enough to fit all the traffic that we can create in peak hours. So let's think about the traffic footprint. Of course, the bus is the best solution in rush hour, because even if you put 5 people inside each car, let's say that all of them are self-driving, and you can do carpooling and car sharing, so all of them are completely full. You have 5 people inside each car. You create 60-meter queue of traffic, compared to just 12 meters of a bus. So we want to have the bus as the benchmark for a rush hour scenario. So what we do, it's basically doing this. We split a bus in multiple units. One unit can fit up to 10 people, so you need 6 units to have the same capacity of a bus. You can see here, in green, you see the next modules. Here they are even more, but you can have with the 6 units the same capacity. 60 meters compared to 12 meters, compared to 60 meters of cars. And even if you want to use single-user pods, that someone says it's the future, single-user self-driving pods, even if you put them in 2 rows, it will occupy 37 meters. What does it mean? It means that in rush hour, the bus remains the best solution. But for flexibility, we are splitting the bus with this kind of modular system. Let's make a comparison. This is the rush hour, I already explained to you. This is the medium traffic. Without having the necessity to bring this entire steel box around, you can have 300% more occupancy rate, and you can guarantee twice the frequency with 45% less consumption. In low traffic scenario, you can do it on demand. So the bus will just pass when you call it. Basically, what we are doing is trying to have something similar to a bus in rush hour, and having something similar to a minibus in a medium traffic scenario, and having something similar to a common car when you have a very low traffic scenario. Now let's try to understand what is the second stage. when these kind of vehicles will use the self-driving capability and the self-driving hardware, not just to join, to couple together, but also to perform an ubiquitous level 4 self-driving service. So this is again the idea. No freeway is big enough. Why these freeways are always congested? Most of these cars are going to the same destination. So why aren't they carpooling? Because most of them are coming from different origins. Even if they are going to the same destination and they are merging in the main roads, they are coming from far apart origins. But far apart origins are creating people that are going to fewer destinations. Now you see something interesting. If you can, in main roads, redistribute the people from one vehicle to another, you can basically do this. You can rearrange the people, reorder the people, going to specific destination, even if they are coming to a set of origins and they're going to several destinations. This is basically the secret of the fully self-driving scenario. They can carpool everywhere because there are always people going to the few destinations. For example, if they are coming from the suburbs and they are going to the center of the city, you have 3 or 4 destinations generally, and you are coming for a very vast area all around. Then you will merge on the main roads, redistribute the people, and allow the people to go door to door. In this case, what we are trying to do is to have a taxi service on the suburbs, so doing door-to-door service, while in the middle you are basically creating a flexible public transportation scenario. With this, you are saving a lot of traffic, a lot of time to destination, because you don't have to wait for the bus. It's like a taxi that will come to your house, and a lot of fuel, because you are boosting the occupancy rate of the vehicles. Let me show you how this advanced scenario with this fully self-driving capability will work. This is what we call stopless station. Somebody can be picked up or dropped off without stopping the entire bus, the entire assembly of units. And here you see how they can order a service, order a coffee in motion, and Starbucks can rent some units and deliver the service in motion to your passenger pod. Then everything, the booking, the service, everything is managed by our application, so the entire ecosystem, the entire billing and ticketing, it's managed by it. So let me show you also how the user interface will work.
Next cloud-based platform is easy accessible as a mobile app. I can select the destination, but I can also select how to travel and minimize the price. Or decide with whom I want to travel. And finally decide what services I want to enjoy. So the model with the order service will reach me on the go. The QR code generated is the key to enter the model.
Yeah, so let's summarize what is our scalable solution, our scalable business strategy. We don't want to have a breakthrough inside the market, giving you from day one fully self-driving cars, because we know there are a lot of problems around. Liability problems, technological safety problems, problems with the drivers that they don't want to be fired, of course. So we want to introduce this kind of service, not just not creating new infrastructures, but not modifying that much the city transit system. So the first scenario will be just upgrading the bus that you have. Instead of a diesel bus, we give you an electric bus. And 6 units will have roughly the same price of an electric bus. But the good point is that you can upgrade this fleet. You can use just the part that you want. Then after peak hour, you can let the vehicles be shared by private people or just let them go to recharge. Then you can upgrade, so you can use the same self-driving hardware to do something like in the second image, so what we call stopless station. In restricted areas, the pods can detach and reattach, giving you the possibility to have stations, air-conditioned stations, that are actually the pod themselves. And they can join and detach without stopping the entire bus. Then afterwards, depending on the reliability of the service, in a global way, I mean, even if Google says that the technology is mature enough to be safe enough to be deployed in every city, and if the regulatory system is compliant, we can deploy the full self-driving scenario, just upgrading the software. And in this scenario, you can have real-time optimization and services that reach you on demand. This is the strategy, address public transportation scenario with this changing of the fleet. Then when you reach the critical mass of vehicles, so it's becoming interesting also for private owners, we will sell the vehicles or rent vehicles to people. And then afterwards, we address the company scenario. We're having McDonald's, Starbucks, or even a bed, even Hilton Hotel, given to the people, given to the public transportation, their service that can be enjoyed in motion. And everything will be managed by the central cloud system that we create. This is a benchmark. You can see how, even comparing this to self-driving vehicles, self-driving cars, pods, or self-driving buses, you have a huge improvement in average occupancy rate, huge improvement in traffic footprint, and a very competitive cost. Let's see it that way. You see how the cost per passengers, it's extremely low compared to the self-driving bus. And the traffic footprint, it's extremely competitive with the self-driving cars and pods. This is basically the chart. So this is some of the point we are at the moment. The Italian idea, the Italian design, then we open the company with an headquarters in Silicon Valley. We had very huge press cover, and then we had this out of the blue tweet of His Highness the Dubai Sheikh with our image without even knowing, and so we tried to reach him, but it's impossible to reach him. But very likely we won a competition for startups to go there for 3 months and to talk with the entities, government entities. And we convinced RTA, that is the Road Transportation Authority of Dubai, to have a pilot project with our vehicles. So at the moment we are creating these vehicles and we are developing them to be shipped in Dubai and to be tested there. So let me show you something more. For example, you see how the vehicle is long as a smart, so roughly half the size of a regular car. But on the other two dimensions, it's like a regular bus. This is how we can fit 10 people inside half the length of a Smart. And this is how internally you can enjoy the space. This is the example of the coffee. This is the story of the Sheikh. In the middle you see the Sheikh and our 1 to 10 scale prototypes running around, coupling and decoupling, side parking. And these are the full-scale prototypes. We showed them in Germany, in Berlin, and then in Dubai. And now we are powering them, creating the powertrain in Italy, that we will ship the powertrain in UAE, and we mount the powertrain on bottom of these vehicles. And this is interesting because the modularity is not just the modularity of the service or the vehicles, but it's internally modular. So for example, for UAE, we are looking for not a fully electric powertrain, but an hybrid powertrain, because they don't have a very complete electrification, a very complete charging infrastructure. So we want to adapt our product within this modularity philosophy to the client and to the city we want to address. Why are they interested in a modular solution? Modularity is very flexible. In this case, they have this problem. When you step outside of the metro station, either you choose a taxi. So if there are 100 people, you need 100 taxi, or you can choose a bus. And to stay outside, let me stop it for a moment. So a taxi or a bus, but the bus will stop every 20 minutes. And so you need to wait outside at 50 degrees. And this is why most of the people are not choosing the Dubai Metro at this moment. But with our solution, you see, like 10 units coupled together, they can fit 100 people, and the people will just have to step inside the first module and use the modules as a corridor, because they are connected together and they have doors in between. So without going outside of air conditioning, you can just go to your unit, and let me just try again. This is the existing Dubai Metro. Existing corridor, and now you have another corridor made of vehicles that will allow you to distribute inside our modular pods, to cancel completely the traffic due to taxis, save 90% of traffic, and then they will split like this, autonomously. But if you want, they can have a backup driver. So this can be done from day one, and it can be gradually upgraded to fully self-driving. Thank you very much. Of course, you have questions.
I'm sure they have questions.
Yeah.
Hi, my name is Anshuman. I'm second year PhD student here at QVT. First of all, that was really an informative and engaging talk.
Thank you.
My question is, how industry professionals deals with the problem of human trust in the technology? Because, like for autonomous vehicles, if we are sitting in an autonomous car where there's no driver,
Yeah.
industry professionals deal with this concept. Like I'll choose an autonomous bus or a car with a driver rather than a car without a driver.
I see.
So how you deal with this trust in the technology?
Yes, this is why we need time to adapt to this kind of problems. And this is why we want to have the driver in the first scenario. So we are trying to create a solution that is very useful from day one, even with the driver, and it's extremely more useful when it will be driverless. And anyway, there is a reason why this is not looking like a car. Because when you are on a public transportation system, you know that there is someone else driving. And this is basically the point. Giving a scalable solution and get rid of the driver because you are in the same situation that you have currently with the public transportation systems.
To me, they don't look as robust as a car, and especially as they're taller and you can push over. Now, I would worry about car accidents, something running into them.
Yeah. Okay, look at this. The secret, let's say, to have an higher safety compared to a car is to have the entire bottom part to be the crumple zone. So the crumple zone here is not in front of the passenger, is on the bottom, like in a bus. You are safer because the head of the people, it's completely out of the line of crash. And this is the reason why this is safer. But also, if you are in just one unit, so the unit it's alone, you need to wear seatbelts, and you have all the traditional kind of safety guards like airbags. When you have more than one, your mass it's enough to be considered as a bus. So you don't need to wear seatbelts, you can walk across the vehicles.
Tommaso, I can't make these work. Can you just, when you answer a question, can you repeat the question so that we get it on tape?
Okay.
Sorry. Next question.
You sure you cannot let this work?
Just repeat the question whenever they ask you.
Okay.
Your unit that carries 10 people, how does the overall weight that compare to an ordinary passenger car that carries 4 people?
Can you repeat? Sorry.
The weight of your unit there that carries 10 people compared in weight to an ordinary 4-passenger car.
With the width?
Weight kilos.
The mass. It really depends on the powertrain that you want. It is asking what is the mass of the vehicles, one single unit. It really depends because the battery is the most important part for having the weight of the vehicles. So, for example, if you have an hybrid vehicle, it will be less massive. If you have a fully lithium batteries and you want a very long range, it will be much more. Roughly, it will weight as a Tesla Model S.
Have you estimated how long does it take 100 people to get inside the boxes? For example, in Dubai, 100 people just want to go inside. How long does it take? Have you estimated?
No, we didn't do this calculation. Otherwise, let me show you how long, the question was how long it takes to embark 100 people inside a regular bus and how long it takes to embark 100 people inside this kind of system. Let me show you. Okay. This is how it looks inside. You have a very large corridor. So people, it's very easy for people to walk among. It's not like a traditional bus that you have a very narrow lane in which you have to redistribute inside. So even if you have less entrances, it's very easy to distribute inside in a quite quickly way. And anyway, if you need more entrances, for example, if you don't have this problem of weather, of the heat of Dubai, you can split the units, having doors on the front and on the back, so you can embark a lot of people at the same time, if this is the question. If you are, for example, on the outside of the airport and you want to embark a lot of people at the same time, you just split the fleet and have n number of doors. Yep.
That's really a beautiful concept of design. Can you talk a little bit about the key technological challenges Google faced when you tried to actually build these things?
Yes. We are already building this. Let me show you a brief video of the Drivetrain, for example. Give me a second. For example, this is the alignment system. These are just few tests we are doing. You can see the key technologies here. All of the wheels are independently steering at 360 degrees. Well, the power one not 360, just 180. And then you have technologies for alignment, visual technologies for alignment, and you have independent suspension system, because you need to adapt to the vehicle that you have ahead to couple safely. So even if the vehicle ahead have 10 people inside and you have just one person inside, you have to level at the same level. And you can also do what it's shown here, that it's staying at distance, at a specific distance. That it's interesting because when you are performing very tight corners, you need to slightly detach the units to perform the corners. And this will happen also in a human driving scenario, because this part of self-driving, it's not the problematic self-driving. I mean, you are not having mixed car scenarios inside. You are just close following. So, yes, mainly it's the coupling system, the most challenging and the most unique part of our work. The alignment system, the coupling system, and then the system that allows all the wheels of all the modules to perform the steering synchronized at the same time. So all the wheels will follow the indication of the head vehicle to give them the right angles to perform the steering amount. For example, they can also go around the sensor of themselves. This is very flexible in terms of moving within a parking lot and coupling and decoupling the vehicles. Okay. Yeah.
This is a very good presentation. How much this system is beneficial for the physically challenged?
For the
Physically challenged travelers.
fiscal?
Disabled.
Disabled people. Absolutely beneficial, because the embarking platform can be easily, now they are designed to be steps going outside, but they can be a lifted platform. So disabled people will not have the necessity to go upstairs with someone helping them. They can be easily lifted on top. And if you saw the image, the corridor is designed to be even larger than the minimum size to fit a wheelchair.
Tommaso, I wonder if you could just explain a little more about the way in which the system can, what I might say, compete or expand in towards light rail and heavy rail in terms of capacity and the way in which it forms in a maximum format.
Yes, here you see the splitting capacity, but more importantly is the coupling capacity. So with just one driver or with no driver, you can have even 20 or 50 units, because they are close following when they are going in tight corners, or they are performing a lifted platform, a lifted ground. And this means that you basically can increase, independently of the number of drivers, your capacity in peak hours. And I think you also want me to tell how many cars this can take out of the road. One single NEX can take off the road up to 7 private cars. This depends on the occupancy rate and on the fact that you have a lower price to go to your destination and a much more comfortable way to go there, because you can also order services when you are in motion. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm so curious about the multidisciplinary background in having
Oh, really?
a combination of physics and
Yeah.
industrial design. We can sort of see the industrial design aspect in here very clearly, but can you talk a bit about how having a background in physics sort of inspired you the first time?
Mm-hmm. Well, you can see some of the physics here. When I was studying physics, I was very passionate about what regards human factor and stochastical systems, like, of course, logistics. So my analysis of logistics wanted to add one hypothesis. What if the cars, they can collaborate, physically collaborate, not just exchange data, but exchange a packet, exchange passengers when they are close together in main roads. And this is what happens when you try to simulate this kind of stuff. So physics, as you may probably know, is not just something that falls on the ground or electricity. It's analyzing the reality, and the reality means also the human factor. How many people relate to a service in this case. And the first idea was this, to redistribute the people, how a modularity can offer benefits to the public transportation and to the private transportation. And then afterwards I wanted to create something that embed this kind of philosophy, this kind of scientific idea. So I did industrial design that gave me the possibility not just to create the product, but to create the user interface and to understand what are the necessities of the passengers.
I have a question about this slide. So you talk about how passengers can redistribute themselves in benefit. What happens if, say, on accident, people forgot where they should be going or which unit they should be going on?
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, they couldn't get to the one that they're supposed to go?
Yes.
How does that impact the system?
Yes. Well, the system is impacted just because you will pay more, because just one unit will come to you and do a taxi service. But so you will be rerouted. So you stay at your seat. You will be notified that you will pay more because you had a mistake, and just one shuttle unit will come to you to bring you home. And this is interesting also because you give me the possibility to explain how the ticketing service is managed. You log in and you open the door with your QR code that is associated to your person or the person that you're booked for. So if you try to go on the vehicle and you are two people instead of just you that booked the trip, the vehicle will not start and will notify you. Because internally we have a system based on RGBD cameras that tracks the people in 3D within the vehicles. And so it will repeatedly notify to your phone and with audio signals that you are not in the right place, and that you need to move to another car. And this is basically the system to avoid these kind of problems.
Thanks, Tommaso. It was I'm pretty sure this is the future of transportation.
I hope so.
Next few years. Have you considered the climate type of, like say, flash flooding, sudden environmental hazards in these units, like especially where there is like in Brisbane, if there can be sudden flash floods that we call here. So is these units suitable for those type of scenarios?
You mean about is asking for challenging weather. But you mean about the self-driving technology or in general?
The overall unit. So if there is a driver driving a bus, if there is suddenly a flood, then he can stop or wait until the flood is over.
Yes, it can do this, of course, but generally they don't have problems. I mean, the self-driving system for multiple purposes, it's problematic with snow or like light flashes or something like this, as you know, with Tesla, for example. But the joining, the coupling and decoupling system, that part of autonomous driving, it's very safe. So in case there are not the conditions to couple or decouple, they will not do it. and they will stay separated. This is how we deal with the fail-safe weather scenario.
Would some of these services be timetabled, or would they all be on demand? I'm thinking of a situation where people originate from different places and all their pods have to get to the departure depot at much the same time.
Mm-hmm.
That may be more difficult if it's on demand, and if we decide we have a group of pods leaving from the depot every 10 minutes or whatever.
Exactly. And let me show you here. Okay, you see, basically, you can decide where to go, but also how to go there. So in case that you choose speed or you choose privacy setting, the service will be completely on demand because it will come to your house and then go to the destination, but you will pay more. If you choose commute, the service will tell you to go to a specific place. So you pay less and less, and the situation will be managed as a more traditional public transportation system. And at the same time, the very first scenario will probably be exactly the same as a traditional bus line. So you mount on, you have the human driver, you go to destination. The only difference is that the public transportation entity can detach vehicles when you have less passengers request.
You showed some cost comparisons to other automated transportation types, but how would the cost for a trip for a passenger compare to other human operated?
Well, we did at first a comparison with the human operated, but it's not even comparable because if you take out the cost of the driver, you take out 70% of the cost. So when we are doing comparison, we are always doing comparison with the other self-driving services, because otherwise you basically need to have a huge graphics to see the bar of the human-driven scenario.
Is the technology very expensive right now for self-driving?
Well, it is right now, as I was talking to them, 90% safety of self-driving is very easily to achieve. Is the last 5% that it's extremely difficult. That really depends on a situation where you are human, you know that you need, for example, to step a little bit forward to have the right to enter a specific road, while a traditional, the self-driving cars at the moment will not do it, so they will stop the traffic. So it's something related to some whys inside the technology of self-driving. But the self-driving technology itself, it's even too much safe. Because if you have a very, very slight probability of collision, they stop. And this is the problem. They have this like collision avoidance system that if sees something, even if it's just a bag on the road, they stop. This is what we are trying to do, and Google is trying to do every day. It's trying to let the self-driving car be a little bit more intelligent, not just safer. This is the real problem of self-driving cars. It's not the safety, it's that they can block the traffic for basically nothing. Regarding the price, yes, most of the price depends on LiDARs. Tesla is doing this 95-99% just with cameras and ultrasonic sensors and radars with a very cheap price. So at this moment, that plus in price, it's mostly regarding the LiDARs, the laser radars that they are using for 3D mapping of the environment. While this system is gradually going down with price.
I see there's a lot of software that's needed to get this working between the app, between the cloud-based algorithm, and also the various technologies, the pods, and then all the autonomous aspects of the vehicle. So can you give us an idea of where you're at in each of those aspects?
Yep. We focused on mainly at the moment on the critical part of all this software. So we developed the coupling technology, the alignment and coupling technology, that part of software. We developed also a baseline, let's say 90%, not 95% of self-driving. So we have our own self-driving software. And for the application, it doesn't really matter at this moment because the application will come when you have fully self-driving capability. But the first thing we did, it's the algorithm for routing modular vehicles. So that was the first part, the algorithm for routing, that we created the simulation, and then we are concentrating on the short-term scenarios that will mainly allow the vehicles to join together. And also the software related to the steering, connecting, that part, it's very critical and very important. Okay. Anything else? You? 2, 3? Okay.
I was thinking maybe you do by, if you put our transportation system in Dubai, do you think how big area you think is better for you to start the system? Because you still need some facility or some station, the huge station. So
no, you don't need. Say what kind of area it's best fit for our vehicles, because you maybe need stations. Absolutely not. This is our idea. Do not create new infrastructures. So the pods, for example, in that scenario, they will just park on the bus parking lot. You have no new infrastructure needed, and this is also why we are having hybrid powertrain for them, because we don't want them to install something new. Even if they have the money to install everything, we don't want them to spend money for our vehicles.
As you said, the units will be collecting people from different origins, and units will be running on the way to destination. So, because of other trafficking events or changes in behavior, if there is any delay, one of the units which you predicted will be there in design, if it doesn't reach us at time. So, how do you handle it?
Yes, I mean, the question is, what if the traffic will stuck the vehicles and they cannot connect? Okay, this is not a problem of the user, let's say. You will step into the vehicle and you will go to destination. If there is traffic that will block the entire system, you will be blocked anyway, even maybe if you have a flying car, you cannot. But we are, in our algorithm, we are forecasting the traffic jams to avoid that roads. And by the way, for example, in many cities in the world, you have an HOV lane, high occupancy rate lane. So our vehicles, of course, they will go every time on that lane. For example, in Silicon Valley, you have these kind of lanes. And most of the time you have the queue, you have the traffic jam on the other lanes, but you can go freely on the HOV lane.
So most of the pods at the moment you see without the driver, so how do you plug the driver in? Is it just a joystick that you just plug into one of the seats? And that's the...
Yes, it's a detachable driving system, like the one that you put on your PC for driving your video game.
So one of the seats just becomes the...
Yes, it's very, very similar to the experience that you want to have. You can even decide where is the point of steering. So you can decide, oh, I want to steer like a forklift, I want to steer like a traditional car, I want to steer like a bus. You can decide the steering behavior.
Will there be link in the roadway and also the parking scenario in the CBD?
Can you repeat, please?
Will there be an impact on the parking scenario in the CBD with the introduction of this vehicle?
Well, if I understand correctly, the question is, what are the parking related impact? So, now you need to have a specific place to fit buses. You need bus parking lots. With this system, you can fit 2 units coupled together in the parking lot of a traditional car. This means that you can split the fleet and park them wherever you want. Does it answer the question?
One last question? No? Well, I don't know about you guys. I'm ready to call one to come pick me up. Tommaso, thank you so
Thank you very much.
I think you've noticed by the quality and the quantity of the questions, your audience was absolutely excited and really interested in what you're doing. So thank you. Thank you so much. I also need to thank Jeremy Webb from the Business School, who's organised a lot of this, and I think has hosted Tommaso over the last couple of days, and also to Clevo Wilson for his contributions as well. I was going to give you a bottle of wine, and then I thought about giving wine from Italian. Decided that probably wasn't as good as any Italian wine. So I'll take you the afternoon tea instead. How's that?
Okay.
So thank you very much. So please thank you.
Thank you very much again. If you have any question, feel free to text me, to email me. I'm very open.